That's just sports, baby.
Crowd goes wild, strawberry ice, bringing fire and style. Reds, Bengals, Bearcats, all in my zone. This is my stage, my mic, my tone. Boom, like a hammer, I'm breaking the game. Strawberry ice, you're gonna know my name. Sports Talk Thunder, hear the podcast roar. Cincy's line is kicking down the door. Step into the ring where the passion ignites. Talking sports all day and all night. From the field to the court to the rowing stands. Strawberry ice with the world in my hands. Boom, like a hammer, I'm breaking the game. Strawberry ice, you're gonna know my name. Sports Talk Thunder, hear the podcast roar. Cincy's line is kicking down the door.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, Iceman Jeff Trunapole. And as always, I'm bringing you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio. And you know what? I'm always coming to you live from that ice cave.
All right, shout out to my sponsors. They are Party Lawn and Landscaping for all your lawn and landscaping needs. You need your grass cut, you need shrubbery trimmed, I don't know, you need a paper patio, you need anything. I mean anything. Landscaping requires. Think Party Lawn and Landscaping. Also, shout out to T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out the website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. And of course, Meyer Window, Door, and more. I got them in my house. I highly recommend you get them in yours. They're energy efficient, great looking windows, easy to clean. Meyer Window, Door, and more. The website is MeyerCincinnati.com. And also, shout out to my favorite brewery, Moorline Lager House. Get on down there, get you some delicious Moorline beer, some delicious Moorline food. You tell them I sent you. Moorline Lager House.
That's right. Shout out to all my great sponsors, Moorline Lager House, Party Lawn and Landscaping, T Properties, and of course, Meyer Window, Door, and more. Please check out all of them. And when you do, make sure you tell them you heard about it from Sports with Strawberry Ice. What is up to everybody in the chat on this early? Well, it's not real early, but it's early for me. Normally it's 5:30, but when you got to guess like Mo Egger, and he's usually on the air at 1, or on the air at 5 o'clock. You come in at 1. What's up to everybody in the chat? We got Tony Blasey in there. We got Mike Madden. What is going on, everybody? All right, news of the day. Dalton Risner. They signed Dalton Risner. If you guys have paid attention to my show, that's the dance me and Dale did last year when they signed him. I was very excited. They signed him to a 1-year deal, $5 million with incentives. How do you guys feel about this? Is the O-line fixed? Are you confident in the O-line? I am. Now, you've got Dalton Risner on a 1-year contract, and you also have Orlando Brown, who his contract is ending at the end of this next season. So next year, we got some things to worry about. But right now, I think the offensive line is set. And does this give you confidence that the Bengals are going to do what Duke Tobin said? They're going to use their sources. They have lots of sources to go into free agency. He didn't say take big swings. He said do some stuff in free agency. I don't know, but I know a guy who has an opinion about it, and he is awesome. He's been on the radio forever. Not calling him old, but he's on the radio forever. He's a great radio broadcaster. He does the Bearcat games. He does the Bengals post-game show. He's everywhere. He's none other than 50-30's Mo Egger.
What's up? How we doing?
Good, man. Long time no see there from the UC basketball game Saturday night where they won. And we're talking Bengals here, but I want to get your thoughts here on the Bearcats real quick. It's amazing what happens when they make shots because everything they threw up was going in Saturday night. My issue with this is I didn't really see a lot of offense ran. I don't know what's your opinion on what happened Saturday night? Because I'm not saying it's bad. It's not consistent. It's not something I think you can base a team consistency on.
Well, they've been pretty good, I think, the last 3 weeks. If you go back to how they played against UCF, a tournament team, scored 92 on them. 92 or 91 against Kansas State, not a very good team. The way they played early against Texas Tech and the way they played the other night against Oklahoma State. I mean, you have seen a team that over the last 3 weeks has shown dramatic improvement on the offensive end. Now, I'm not sure they're good enough that you go, okay, going into every game, they're going to score 80 or 75 or anything like that. But, they've been better. The backbone of the team is still its defense. I think the frustrating thing about when this team was where it was 3 weeks ago was they have defended pretty well most of the season.
Right.
It feels like to a degree the offense has caught up. Now, it hasn't caught up to the extent that they're immune to having long lulls. If you go back to the Texas Tech game, they made each of their first 9 shots, and then I think they shot 30% the rest of the game. But I do think that offensively they're playing through their bigs a little bit more. And I think, frankly, they have as good of a big man combo as they've had at UC in a while with Mustafa Chum and Baba Miller. I think they've run the offense more through those players, which has brought out the better in their shooting. But, yeah, look, you still wonder game in, game out offensively which team is going to show up. But relative to where things were 3.5 weeks ago, for us to be talking about on the court offensive improvement and, big picture, them at least having a remote chance to make the NCAA tournament is not where a lot of us thought we would be 3.5 weeks ago.
That is true. And I love it that they have been running the offense through Baba Miller. I was calling for that back in December. I'm like, you got this 7-footer. You got 2 7-footers, one who could dribble and pass the ball, do the high-low screens, run the offense through that way. And that, for the most part, they've been doing that. And my only issue with the other night is they were shooting shots that I wouldn't say are great shots, but they're great when they go in. That's my only issue, is because they fall into this lull where I made, these shots. Oh, I'll make the next one, which is what shooters do. I get it. When you play better teams, and let's not be, Oklahoma State wasn't that great of a team. When you play better teams, they can shut you down. They're going to make you run an offense. And I just didn't see them running an offense as much. They got into the momentum of making shots, and it worked. I mean, it worked. I'm not complaining. These are just things that I think they could improve upon moving forward, and hopefully they will. But with that being said, let's move on to the Bengals here, because I know everybody is excited, including me. You saw me. I did a little dance here. I did the dance for the Dalton Risner being re-signed. What does this mean for you, for the Bengals? Does this mean that they are going to go big or I won't say big. Are they going to go into free agency and add hopefully enough players that the draft isn't, oh my God, we got to draft this guy, and if he's not there, we're screwed? I mean, are they going to, does this give comments that they're going to do enough to slightly enough in free agency? Because it's always the Bengals, so I'm kind of curious of how to state this. But how much do you think you're going free agency? I'll put it that way.
Well, I think we would all be really surprised if they weren't active. Now, there's making the big splash signing, which I think would be unlikely. But I thought what Duke Tobin had to say last week sort of tipped their hand a little bit, where he used the term force multipliers. I'm not going to bore you with that.
Right.
But to me, what he was basically hinting at was we need starting caliber players who can amplify the talents of guys who are already here. He talked effusively about Jordan Battle. He talked effusively about BJ Hill. I think they believe they've got some pieces that with better teammates around them can be even better. Right, like Dax Hill, like DJ Turner, like Jordan Battle, like maybe Chris Jenkins. And so I think what they're going to be looking for, and they have the resources to get what they're looking for, is they're looking for starting caliber players that they can spread across the defense. That, in the case of linebacker, I don't know that they're going to give up on Demetrius Knight and Barrett Carter. My guess is they would like to see both play next year. But is there a veteran type of player who can be relied upon to perform at a certain level, but who could also help out bring out the most in guys like Barrett and Demetrius Knight?
Yeah.
we talk about what they need getting after the quarterback. I certainly believe they have every reason to feel like Miles Murphy is going to be even better this coming season than he was last year. And in the second half of last season, he was terrific. They're not going to give up on Shamar Stewart. So is there somebody they can add to that mix that, in essence, brings out more from players who are already on the team? I think there are players like that out there. Now, again, if you think they're going to go shopping for the most expensive free agents at every particular position, that just doesn't feel like something they're going to do. I think what they've done with Dalton Risner, though, at least doesn't add to the to-do list, right? They have a to-do list. They need a safety. They need interior pass rush help. They need an edge pass rush help. They need linebacker help. They need a slot corner. They didn't add guard to the list. When you already have a long to-do list, don't unnecessarily add to it. With Dalton Risner, the word that everybody has used for months has been layup. They made a layup. Here's a guy you got last year and fit perfectly, stated publicly a desire to want to stay. That's a layup. Don't add to your list of things to do. And now I guess I look at it like this. Offensively, you're kind of done. Now that's an oversimplification because I do think they're going to draft a swing tackle, somebody to replace long-term Orlando Brown. We'll see if there's a wide receiver in the mix somewhere. That's they've looked in later rounds for wide receivers before.
Oh yeah.
But I think you could take the offensive unit they have right now and feel like week one, we're good to go. That's an offensive line that toward the end of the season was playing better than any offensive line that Joe Burrow has ever played behind. So you are going to go into this season with the most amount of continuity on the offensive line they've had in years, and you're going to put Joe Burrow behind, top to bottom, the best offensive line he's ever played behind. That means your offense can take off, and it really means you can now spend your entire offseason fixing the defense. And so what the Dalton Risner thing for me did is it showed they can make a layup. It didn't add to their to-do list, and now they can get to work attacking the defense in free agency and then obviously in a couple of months the draft.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying this all at the end of last year. Just take the layups. At least take the layups. Dalton Risner was a layup. And, I mean, I don't know why they could have got this done when he was making his exit interviews and he was basically begging them to sign him. So, but either way, I'm glad they got it done and it did not go into free agency where he did not get to talk or anybody else actually make him a contract offer. Now, you said they won't take the big splash. Now, the one is everybody's got draft crush. Well, I have a free agency crush, and it's Franklin Myers from Denver. I would absolutely love them to sign him. That would be a big splash. He's the best interior defense lineman in free agency. I'm just going by what you said before. You don't expect him to do that, so you're not expecting them to take a swing at him because they'd probably have to overpay him to get him to come here, but they've done that before with DJ Reader. They overpaid DJ Reader to get him to come here. Could they do the same thing? Because if you get him and BJ Hill and TJ Slayton, you're kind of back to where you were when you had Larry O, DJ Reader, and BJ Hill in the Super Bowl run.
Yeah, I read this morning or last night. I read about best free agent fits for like the top 30 guys, and John Franklin Myers' best fit was listed as the Tennessee Titans, where he could reunite with Robert Saleh, who's now the head coach there. Look, sign me up for John Franklin Myers. It's remarkable to think that the Rams, among the very few poor roster decisions they've made, they cut him after his rookie season, and he's about to sign his third contract, and he's not yet 30 years old. I just don't know that they're going to do something like that puts them in a position where they're going to overpay. If you go back to the 2020 offseason, they overpaid DJ Reader because they had to and because they didn't have anybody else to give the money to, right? I mean, so like that offseason, they threw a lot of money at the defense, and it worked. When they signed DJ Reader, nobody really knew who DJ Reader was. He wasn't a household name, but they didn't have an expensive quarterback on the books. They didn't have two expensive wide receivers on the books. And so that does change the math a little bit. And I think what they would like to do is sign good market deals for good, solid players across the defense. And if it looks like they're going to have to overpay somebody, my guess is they would try to find somebody who's an alternative who maybe costs a little bit less. That said, could they use a guy like John Franklin Myers? 1,000,000%. I just don't know if the price is going to make sense for them, given the fact that they have to spread the signings across the defense. We would see, again, from a pure football fit, sign me up. But I don't know that they're going to feel compelled. They've overpaid before. I mean, heck, one might have argued they overpaid for Orlando Brown a couple of years ago. I think they look at their defense and go, we need 5 starting caliber players. If we overpay for one, then maybe we're going to have to cut corners at another spot. I don't think they want to do that. We'll see.
Do you think it's, this is what I just trying to read the tea leaves with Duke Tobin. I think it's going to be more of like when the free agents they signed, not counting DJ Reader, but they signed in 20 and 21, where they were lower. I hate to say lower tier guys, but they were not like DJ Reader. They weren't as well known, but they're between 25 and 27 years old, and they're on the cusp of making that big leap. That's where I think they're looking. I mean, they hit a home run with Trey Hendrickson. I mean, Trey Hendrickson, and DJ Reader, I think, in my opinion, are 2 best free agents the Bengals have ever signed. I mean, and say what you want about Trey. I will always remember Trey for being a Bengal. I thank him for his years here. I have no ill will toward him. I hope he goes into NFC, goes to the other division, and we don't have to see him. But I hope he makes a lot of money. He does great. With that being said, who are the guys out there at that look? That's where I'm with you. That's where I think the Bengals are looking. Who are the guys out there like edge, linebacker, safety? Because those are the 3 big ones. You mentioned slot corner too. But I think edge, linebacker, and safety, to me, are the 3 big ones to try to go out there and get, because if they get that, then pick 10, it can almost be BPA. I mean, if Caleb Downs there, that is great. Ruben Baines there is great. Neither one of them might not be there. So that's where if they fix this, it would help. What's your thoughts on the guys that are available that they might be able to get out there?
Yeah, I mean, you're looking for this year's version of Von Bell. You're looking for this year's version of Trey Hendrickson. You're looking for this year's version of, I don't know that they're going to be looking for outside corners, but you're looking for a version of a player like Chidobe Awuzie, good, solid players. You're looking for a version of Mike Hilton, perhaps, like guys who weren't stars, guys who, when the Bengals acquired them, DJ Reader was I hate to say overpaid, but at the time that he signed, that was the most expensive free agent contract ever given to an interior defensive lineman. The rest of those deals, you kind of looked at the money and said, yeah, makes sense. Heck, when they acquired Trey Hendrickson, you still had folks who thought he was a downgrade from Carl Lawson. So
people were freaking out. Out. Oh my God, we let Carl Lawson go? Who the hell is Trey Hendrickson? Yeah, so yeah.
Right. So you're looking for newer versions, 2026 versions of those players. Very selfishly, as a diehard UC fan, I look at Kobe Bryant and Brian Cook.
You read my mind. That's where I was going next.
Kobe Bryant was one of my favorite all-time players at UC because he was a corner, and he was the corner that teams threw toward. And, it was remarkable to watch offenses basically say, we're not throwing to Sauce Gardner's side, so we'll try out Kobe Bryant. And he was awesome. In Seattle, they move him to safety, and he was a big play prevention machine. And not only did he prevent big plays, he made a few of his own. And then with Brian Cook, he's very versatile. And what I love most about Brian Cook is what I hated most about Geno Stone. He can make the tackle.
He can make the tackle. Yes.
He can make the tackle. So, with neither player are we talking about a star. With neither player are we talking about guys who are, and I would imagine both are listed among the top 30 to 40 free agents in the NFL. But whatever team signs either of those players isn't going to be the team that's talked about most in the first couple of days of free agency. But I think with both guys, you have versatility. You have players who are still ascending. You have players who have won before, which, that helps. Both Kobe Bryant and Brian Cook have won Super Bowls, and they just, to me, both guys, you're not going to sign both, but both would be ideal fits for what they're looking for. Guys going into their second contracts, guys who have won before, guys who have some positional versatility, guys who still may have some of their better football in front of them, players like that. I focus on those 2 guys because they're former Bearcats, but those are the sort of players they should be interested in. I think at linebacker, though, what's interesting is there's a whole lot of guys who are on the other side of 30. I did Paul Dehner Jr.'s podcast a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner is 36, 37, still playing, though, at a really, really high level last season for the Washington Commanders. Who better to tell Carter and Knight to attach themselves to than that guy?
Exactly.
Are you going to get him in his prime? No.
No.
But is there a reasonable expectation play to play that when Bobby Wagner is on the field, he's going to know where to be? He's going to make the tackle when you need him. He's not going to stand out for a blown coverage or an assignment mistake or that sort of thing. Like, I look at a guy like that. I'm not getting the 28-year-old Bobby Wagner. I'm getting the mid to late 30s version of Bobby Wagner, who still has some gas in the tank. Could I get a B- to B version of him? And just through osmosis, Barrett and Demetrius being around him just makes them better? I would like to think so. Can I find a version of B.J. Hill? When the Bengals traded for B.J. Hill, nobody knew who that guy was. And he's going to be back for another season with this team. Is there a version of that player who is reliable, who you kind of know down to down what he's going to be able to do? You can rotate him in. Are there versions of guys like that? And I think with the money they have to spend and where the strength of this year's free agency class seems to be, the answers are going to be yes. Obviously, you got to get the players to want to come play for you, because all the guys I mentioned, they're going to have suitors. But I guess the point being, like, what they are looking for is available, and what they need, it doesn't necessarily mean they have to go overpay or go sign, one of the biggest names out there. When you have all the team needs the Bengals do, and when you want to build around guys you already have, and I think Al Golden last week sort of told us that was going to be the case, I think this free agency period sets up for the Bengals to be pretty productive.
Yeah, and that's exactly the type of linebacker that I've been hinting at, because I don't get Sonny Styles or Arvell Reese would be awesome. I don't think they're getting them. I don't think either one will be there at 10. But especially, and I'm not so sold that the Bengals will draft a linebacker, because they drafted 2 last year, and knowing the Bengals and their history, we like our guys. But getting a guy like Bobby Wagner or somebody to that ilk is kind of where I think the Bengals should be at the linebacker position, because it reminds me of when Josh Baines was here. That's when Logan Wilson was a rookie. Pratt was a second or third year player. Josh Baines was kind of like that veteran that kind of helped them, or excuse me, Josh Bynes was kind of like that veteran that helped them become pros. And that's where I think like a guy like Bobby Wagner would be perfect. And that's where I think the Bengals should look to, a guy who could start, but doesn't necessarily have to start, and that's where I think that's a great point. That's where I think the Bengals should go. Now, the thing is with the edge here, what's your thoughts on the Bengals re-signing Joseph Osai? Because we all know they got David Mulligetta, and the Bengals, I think, have only signed one contract with him, and that was last year with Joseph Osai. Now, Osai had a good year. He got injured again. So I don't think he's going to get the big money he wants, but he's going to get paid, and they're going to try to give him as much money as can. What's your thoughts on the Bengals working out something with Joseph Osai?
Don't know that I would be opposed to it. Had a career high in pressures last season. So, the Bengals soon, signed him to a 1-year prove-it contract from Joseph Osai's perspective. I'm sure he feels like he proved it. I feel like had they wanted Joseph Osai to be a Bengal in 2026 and viewed him as a guy that they were really keen on building around, my guess is he wouldn't be hitting free agency. I think Joseph Osai is a player that I like, but a player that I think you can replace. I think what they're doing at edge is going to revolve around Myles Murphy making a leap to stardom this year, which you might argue can't happen, and say that what he has been so far as a pro is a guy whose period of productivity is a relatively small sample size, and hold against him the way he played in 2023 and 2024. I think you could also look at Myles Murphy as a guy who is ascending. I thought at the end of the season last year, he was playing as well as any edge in the league. And so you're looking for complementary pieces for him. It feels like the market for Joseph Osai is going to be slightly beyond what they're looking to pay. But if Joseph Osai was on the Bengals in 2026, I don't know anybody that would be disappointed by that, but I feel like if that was going to happen, it already would have.
Now let's go back on to what Duke Tobin said. and you're frozen. Oh, you still there? Oh, there you are. You're back. You froze for a second. Sorry. But go back to what Duke Tobin said. And last year at the combine, he said, everybody famously said, I don't want to pay for the same team. People could argue he paid for a cheaper, lesser version of the team they had the year before that. Now this year he says we have resources and we're quote unquote we're going to use them, or however he exactly said it. Is Duke Tobin going to eat his words again? And do you think last year he actually thought they were going to do more, but the T and Jamar contract got too much in the way of Katie and Troy being able to negotiate that and negotiate other stuff for other potential free agents? It's kind of two questions there.
Well, far be it for me to get inside the head of Duke Tobin. It kind of feels like, look at what they did, which is they didn't really do all that much. I think it seems to me like they believed a lot in players who ultimately let them down. They believed in Geno Stone. I didn't understand why then. Yeah. I don't understand why now, but they believed in Geno Stone. They believed, and it didn't work out, that Logan Wilson and Al Golden's system was going to be a thing, and it never really was. They believed that they were going to be able to get almost immediate return on investment from players in the draft class. That didn't happen. Now, by Katie Blackburn's own admission, what they did with Jamar Chase and T. Higgins did sort of distract them, for lack of a better way of putting it, from the mission of fixing the defense, right? Katie Blackburn talked about that at the owners' meetings, and in the immediate aftermath of the deal getting done with both players, that because of the attention and time and resources devoted to this one area of the team, it kind of took them away from the other areas of the team. That is, for my money, not a very valid excuse, but I think they felt better about the players they had on last year's team, and a number of those guys simply didn't perform. And I think, though, with that is, all right, we screwed it up last year, but we didn't overhaul the defense. We can't make the same mistake again. There's going to be a lot of guys from this past season's team on the 2026 roster, but it would be shocking to me if the coming weeks weren't spent adding starting caliber players from other teams on the defensive side of the football.
Yeah, this is a big month for sure for the Cincinnati Bengals, and I'm with you. I had never understood the Geno Stone thing last year. They made him take less money, and they kept him, and they never added anybody to that room. So that never that's where I'm like, that's where I go to. Like, it seemed like they had a plan. Like, okay, you're gonna take less money. We're gonna go get this guy or try to get this guy, and it never happened because, like I said, to me, this is where they've got Katie and Troy do the negotiation. They've got 3 or 4 assistant GMs, which still I'm kind of curious who they're assisting since we don't have a GM, and why can't they negotiate contracts? Which maybe they do. I have no idea. But that just seems to me last year they dropped the ball. They had too many things going on and they couldn't get it all done at once, is what it seems like to me. But we'll see. It's the Bengals. We'll see what happens. Now, for you, what's your best case first round scenario? Meaning, I'll throw it to you all inclusive. You put the free, what they do with free agency and who they were able to draft there. What's the best case scenario for you?
Well, the best case scenario is they do so well in free agency that they don't have to do anything out of desperation.
Right.
They don't have to reach. They don't have to take a player just because he plays a certain position. And best case scenario for me is they can look at Reuben Bain and Caleb Downs and see that both are available and then have a very good internal discussion about which one they should take. And I could listen to arguments about both. I'm still going to guess that neither is there. We will see. But, the best case scenario for me is we don't really start to talk about what the Bengals are going to do in the draft, not just in round 1, but across the entire 7 rounds, until we have a better feel for what they've taken and what they've gotten in free agency. I think it's encouraging to hear and read about how loaded the class is at edge rusher, because the Bengals need edge rushers. So if you don't take one with the 10th overall pick, is the class deep enough that you can get one on Friday? It feels like the answer is going to be yes. When do they target a swing tackle? When do they target a guy who long-term is going to be the left tackle after Orlando Brown. Is that something that they're willing to wait until day 2 to do if one's there at 10? Is that something they're willing to wait until Saturday to do if they decide there's just other positions they want to address? But I guess the first domino that had to fall was going to be for Ruben Bain's arms to be so short that you assume there's going to be a team or two that's scared away by that, and maybe the Bengals will have a chance to take him. And if so, there's going to be some really interesting discussions about the team that always leans into measurables instead of so much the on-field production. Do we see something similar with Ruben Bain where they go, you know what, the production is awesome, but this one measurable, he's historically different. I don't know. But for me, more than anything, I want to go into the draft feeling like they've accomplished so much in free agency that there's no glaring just got to take a guy who plays this position early because we didn't address that position with an established NFL player.
Yeah, if Ruben Baines is there, I will. I'll put it this way. This has been my draft scenario. I keep asking everybody. If Baines is there and Caleb Downs is there, which one are you taking?
Well, to me, it's like looking at two supermodels, right?
Right. Yeah, pretty much.
I'll let you pick first, and I'll get the other and be pretty happy. Look, there's good conversations to be had about which positions are at a premium, and safety is not regarded as a premium position until your team is the worst in the NFL at giving up explosive plays.
Right.
Then it's so like, I mean, this is a very limited way of looking at things. When were the Bengals awesome on defense? When they had a great pair of safeties. When did things start to slide downhill? When they stopped having a great pair of safeties. So I've watched enough people who are really, really smart talk about Caleb Downs and break down his film that, like, if I had my way, that would be the guy that I'd take with the 10th overall pick. Now, that said, Duke Tobin has stated pass rush is king. His words.
Yeah.
Which certainly makes you feel like if it's the best edge rusher available and the best safety available, and they have a comparable grade on both, the tiebreaker is going to be pass rush is king. It's a premium position. So we'll see. I guess with Ruben Bain, if you're scared by the short arms, okay, what else you got?
Right.
I don't know that there's a measurable that scares you off when it comes to Caleb Downs. If you don't take Caleb Downs, then what else? I know I love Caleb Downs. He would probably be the pick for me, but holy hell, I watched that national title game. Ruben Bain was at times the best player on the field. Yeah. But, you know, what have they done at both positions in free agency? What does the rest of the class look like? What are plans B for both positions if you don't take one player or the other? But if it was me, I value great safety play maybe more than NFL teams do, which is maybe why I don't work for an NFL team. Caleb Downs looks like a unicorn. Caleb Downs looks like somebody who can instantly just make your team better top to bottom, has every intangible. But, again, if they end up with Ruben Bain, then, you know, fine. I'll take
I wouldn't be upset.
Making me pick, I would take Caleb.
Yeah, I'm with you. Everything you said there, I'm with you. I'd take Caleb hands down. That's the guy I want to be there, but we'll see what happens. Now, Ken here, one of my loyal listeners, is his draft. By the way, you got time? We're a half hour in. You got. I don't want.
I got a few minutes. Yeah.
Okay. Landon Robinson, D tackle out of Navy, did not get selected to go to the combine here. What's your thoughts on the Bengals actually drafting him? Because they might be able to get him day 2, maybe day 3. I don't know. What's your thoughts on him?
Well, I can't really give you much beyond what I saw at the combine. But if he were to be there when the Bengals are picking, let's go.
Yeah.
Again, like how has the rest of the draft fallen? How do they feel about the players, the other players at that position? What's happened so far in the draft? Like what's happened so far in free agency? Like there have been years where the Bengals aren't going to be very active in free agency, and we can sort of outline how we want the draft to unfold here in early March. The backbone of the offseason is going to occur over the next couple of weeks, and then it's, what do they supplement with in the draft? I'd be completely lying to you if I told you I've thought much beyond the 10th overall pick what they should do, because I don't know that it's going to be abundantly clear what they should do until they've taken some swings here over the next few weeks.
Yeah, the fringe, he's going to definitely dictate here. All right, I'll get you out of here on this. I want to do a little bit of Reds talk here. If I would have told you at the end of last year that the Reds would have improved their bullpen and added a power hitting bat, would you have called me crazy? Because that's what they did.
Yeah. No, because I think we all knew. I mean, it wasn't that hard to figure out what they needed.
But would they do it? That we all knew they needed that, but we didn't all expect them to act, especially Gino. I mean, that's for me. Good. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, Nick Krall, when the season ended, he said we want to upgrade our bullpen, and we know we need a power bat. Now, didn't say who it was going to be necessarily, but yeah, I think if you look at it from that perspective, they had a good offseason. I still feel like no matter what, and getting a Eugenio Suarez will help with this, but the success of the team in 2026 is going to mainly depend on guys who are on the team in 2025, like Matt McClain, like Ellie De La Cruz, like Sal Stewart. Like if I get the best case scenario and I can get 30 bombs from Ellie, 35 to 40 from Gino, and maybe 25 to 30 from Sal Stewart. Again, best case is usually not the most likely. No. I think the thing about the Reds offensively that kind of gets lost is we spent a lot of time talking about the need for a bat. It's not like the Reds offense last year was among the league's worst. It was middle of the pack. Now, it's got to be better situationally. It's got to be better in extra innings. They've got to be better in one-run games. But they were 14th in runs scored last season, 14th in runs scored per game. So you're starting from a place that isn't atrocious. The two-hole production has to be better, and they need more home runs. Eugenio Suarez will give them more home runs. I guess what I want to know is, are they better at getting on base in front of him? The two-hole production last year was 29th overall in baseball and OPS. That must improve, whether it's Matt McClain, Noelvi Marte, or someone else. But I still feel like, I guess the two things for me, number one, can you really survive offensively if you have a guy playing a corner infield position who never hits, and keep Ryan Hayes? And then B, McClain, Ellie, Sal Stewart, can they get very good years from all three players? And if the answer is yes, you've got an offense that can really take off. With Matt McClain, we'll see. With Sal Stewart, because he's going to be a rookie, we'll see. And with Ellie De La Cruz, to a degree, we've been waiting for this superstar leap. He's going to cross the 2,000 at-bats threshold here pretty early in the season. If the answers are yes with those guys, this team's going to be fine. Plus, add to it what Gino does. If the answers are no, then this offense is probably going to be somewhat limited. I'm also really interested. They went 22 and 22 in one-run games this season. Chances are that's either going to be significantly better or significantly worse. Is it significantly better? Because then this team is probably going to have a better record. If it's significantly worse, then they're probably going to have a worse record.
Yeah, for me, the biggest thing with the offense is consistency. Because we have games where they score 15 runs and then they go a week with scoring 1 or 2 runs. And like you said, there's so many one-run losses last year. That's the part for me they have to improve upon. Matt McClain is going to be a year removed from a shoulder injury. I always compare it to Gino, his teammate now. Gino had a similar shoulder injury when he dove into a swimming pool. It took him about a year to get back to where he was. So that's where I'm expecting Matt McClain to get back in. Ellie hopefully won't be playing on one leg the whole second half of the season. That would help. Now, one thing I think is interesting here. Now, I don't think we need this, but Ken here says he thinks the Reds still need to add a rotational pitcher. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think we're pretty stout there. I think Chase Burns or Rhett Lauder or Brandon Williamson, that combination of those guys is going to be our fifth starter, and our top 4 I'll put against anybody if they all stay healthy.
Yeah, I think with the way things stand right now, I would agree with you. I mean, I think there's a lot of teams trying to do better than they did last season who would love to have their only spring training competition be for the 5th starting spot, and who would love to have that competition take place between a couple of recent former first-round picks. We'll see how the season unfolds. Their starting pitching depth got tested last year. Thank God for Brady Singer in the month of August, or they totally would have fallen off the table. And look, they have a lot of guys who have to get through a full big league season for the first time, uninterrupted in their careers. But what I would love more than anything, I would have loved to have seen them add one more like legitimate outfield bat, because the J.J. Bleday, Will Benson thing may turn out to be really, really good, or maybe they've gotten something in Dane Myers, but it still feels like they're trying something that really hasn't worked in recent years, where it's, hope for better than average production from hitters who are below league average. I wish they had one more outfield bat, but I'll take my chances. If they can enjoy reasonably good health with the starting pitchers, I'll take my chances with the current group they have as we speak.
I mean, one thing, Mo, this is one of the first times in years that I don't feel that we are going into this season with as much hope. Like, well, I hope these guys pitch. Well, we might have gotten this guy. Now we hope we can turn him around. And we hope there isn't that. I mean, yes, we hope they all play better, but that's normal. I mean, that's a normal thing. You should improve upon yourself. That's not asking anything different. It's not trying to, like, I wasn't ecstatic when they signed J.J. Bleday because I thought that might be the only thing they did. And I'm like, well, we're hoping he gets back to what he did 2 years ago. Well, they fixed that with signing Gino Suarez, so we don't have to hope. If J.J. Bleday does, great. That's awesome. That's extra stuff that we haven't had. So that's what's got me so excited about this season. And it's nice for once to actually have substance that, yes, we actually can compete in this division. We can have a chance to win it, and we could, God forbid, win a playoff series for the first time since 1995 when I was 20 years old. That was a long time ago.
If you think about this process, it started really after the 2020 season when they decided to basically give away Raisel Iglesias. Yeah. And it continued after the 2021 season, which after the lockout, they trade away Sonny Gray and Eugenio Suarez and Jesse Winker. Well, the idea was for there to be a payoff here in the middle of the decade. And I think with the step that they took last year, it's now reasonable to not hope, but expect this team to more seriously contend for a playoff spot, go into the postseason with a little bit of a cushion, not need game 162 to matter in order to make the postseason. Like it feels like they should be built to win right now. How much are they built to win? You're still asking a lot from a lot of guys who are either unproven, weren't very good last year, looking to outperform expectation. But I think this is the first season in a while where in spring training, there's a genuine sense of if you don't make the playoffs, if you don't advance in the postseason once you're there, then it's going to be hard to categorize this season as a success.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And Crypt Keeper here, he really, 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 he's in South Carolina. He really wants your show live on YouTube every day so he can watch it. Is there any chance of that ever happening?
There's a chance. We got to figure out a way to make the commercials work. But, you could also listen online on the iHeartRadio app.
There you go.
So, that is as accessible as YouTube is.
It is. I listen.
You don't have to look at my ugly face.
Maybe they like looking. Maybe Crypt likes looking.
Could be. That's true.
It might be the hair.
That's it.
All right, man. Hey, appreciate you as always. Great seeing you the other night, and I'll reach out to you again, brother. Thanks a lot.
Anytime, man. You got it. Thank you.
Yep. See ya. All right, guys. As always, hope you enjoy that as much as I did. Like I said, Mo is on every day at from 3 to 6 on ESPN 1530. You can listen to it on the iHeartRadio app. Make sure you check that out. Check that out right now. 1 o'clock, they got ESPN Cincy 360s on there right now. So there you go. No, you cannot comment on it, Crip. No, you can't comment on it. You can just listen. That's all it is. You just listen. It's just like on the radio. You just listen to it. So hey, you want to listen to them? There you go.
All right, shout out to my sponsors. They are Priority Lawn and Landscaping for all your lawn and landscaping needs. You need your grass cut, you need your shrubbery trimmed, I don't know, you need a paper patio, you need anything. I mean anything. Landscaping requires think priority lawn and landscaping. Also, shout out to T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out the website at www.tpropertiesllc.com for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. And of course, Meyer Window, Door, and more. I got it in my house. I highly recommend you get them in yours. They're energy efficient, great looking windows, easy to clean. Meyer Window, Door, and more. The website is MeyerCincinnati.com. And also, shout out to my favorite brewery, Moorline Lager House. Get on down there, get you some delicious Moorline beer, some delicious Moorline food. And tell them I sent you. Moorline Lager House.
Of course, as always, shout out to my great sponsors, Moorline Lager House, Pride of Lawn and Landscaping, T Properties, and of course, Meyer Window, Door, and more. But thanks for watching, everybody. I've been live streaming on YouTube, Facebook, X, Twitch, Instagram. You can follow me on all of those. Please do follow me on all those, along with Threads and TikTok. Check out my Substack. I put some articles on there from time to time. I will be pulling the sound off later on tonight. So, Crip, you can listen to my podcast. You can't comment on it, but you know what you could do? You could rate it, like it, review it, leave a 5-star review and a comment so more Cincinnati fans can find my podcast. It's pretty much wherever you get your podcast, so make sure you check that out. Don't worry, I'll be back again today with my usual guest on Monday. He is the one and only Bengals captain. We will be discussing Bengals, what they think they're going to do, you know, all that cool stuff. You guys can see how excited Cap is. Maybe I get him to do the Dalton Risner dance with me. We'll see. Yeah. Yes. Good point. Thank you, Ken. Yes, absolutely. Prayers sent out to all of our troops over there in the Gulf, over there in Iran, and to all the American citizens out there. Just pray that this all gets settled soon. So keep all that, your thoughts and prayer. Keep our country in your thoughts and prayers. So definitely do that. But remember one thing, and one thing only, that's Who Dey for life. And of course, everybody throw it up. That's just sports, baby. See ya!
Another great show. You guys still here? The show's over. You can come back tomorrow. I'm out of here. See ya.